Hello, and welcome to Collective Konversations. Today we're discussing a topic that affects millions of people but is often misunderstood. Post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. As our theme says, not all wounds are visible. Many people carry the effects of trauma long after the event itself has passed. PTSD can impact veterans, first responders, survivors of violence, people who have experienced accidents, natural disasters, childhood trauma, and many others. Our goal today is simple: to increase awareness, reduce stigma, encourage understanding, and remind people that healing is possible and nobody has to walk that journey alone. We have a special guest with us today, and Mr. Barton, would you like to handle that introduction?
Yeah, like I said before, this is really a serious topic. June is PTSD month, so I wanted to really bring somebody knowledgeable about those things and also other things as well. It's been on here before, so when you're a guest first, but then after that, your family, Dr. Stefan Ross. And I thank you for being here. We're talking about such a really touchy subject, and it's like, PTSD is getting right off the bat, post-traumatic stress disorder. It's really a hot button topic in a lot of things. Real quick, I was looking at you'll like this. I was looking at a show the other day called The Cage, and it's from France, but they kind of made it. And the guy had suffered a real bad beating, and he acted like he was okay, and he just shrugged it off, even though the doctor said, "Listen," he was telling him about PTSD, and he was like, "Okay, but." He went in there and told the guy, no, he was fine, until he was getting ready to fight again. And all of what happened flashed in front of his eyes, and he couldn't move. And I'm like, wow. It was, just one of those things. So that's why we brought you on, talk a little bit about just really, just getting into the topic right now, just really understanding PTSD, not, definitely a response to something that's traumatic. Right. And I'll let you talk.
And one of the biggest things, even though we discuss about the traumatic events stuff, but what people don't realize is that it doesn't always have to be that person in that event. You can witness something like an accident or someone being brutally harmed or some elements of violence or someone's death, and you can also obtain the symptoms of PTSD as well as the person who's actually been in that event. And the body does a lot of things. It withdraws. It becomes agitated, you have anxiety, you can have, like you say, you can actually become paralyzed, and you can't even function to your normalcy that you would like to do. And, the term PTSD is what is known today, early on, early 70s, after the Vietnam War and stuff, people used to call it shell shock,
Wow.
Things of that nature,
Wow.
So, people don't realize that, I think his name was Lifton, Dr. Lifton, and Dr. Hampton kind of coined the phrase of PTSD because of people being shell shocked or, Vietnam shock or things from the war and stuff like that. But you started to see that PTSD can carry on in so many ways: domestic violence, car accidents,
right off the bat. All these things, you just hitting it right off the bat, because many people only think it only affects, military veterans.
Right.
That's all we ever really heard. Not even the worst. To the day you said that, yeah. I've heard that word, but I didn't even know it was really pertaining to post-traumatic stress disorder. And that's the thing. It's also sexual violence. Sexual assault, community violence, like you said before, seeing some natural disaster.
Yeah.
Natural disaster, medical trauma, and the loss of level is another one that we talk about. And, that's really, something that we talk about as well. But, just like you said before, just getting into just understanding it a lot, somebody that's surviving even from a car wreck, in a car accident, right? They may avoid driving, for that reason. Or, loud noises and make them kind of jump, or, like I said before, one of those things, it was for that guy I was telling you about on that show, The Cage. It was the walking to the ring. Is what got hit, because at the time, he practiced a little bit different, than
Right.
walking to the ring, and now it's flashing back in his head. Oh man, it went all through me because I was like, man, this something. Because I wouldn't, I don't know. I thought he was gonna be able to shake it off, and he did shake it off then. He eventually did, but because he's facing things and just talking to people about things. And I think it's tough. And I let you talk a little bit because I think it is tough when it comes down to that part. When we talk about these events, domestic violence, childhood abuse, different things like that. It's horrifying because now your body is affected by these things.
And what's also the thing about that is that it's a haphazard type kind of disease, because what affects you one way could be the same event, can affect somebody else a totally different way. So now you have to kind of break down those things. And one of the therapies they use is emotion therapy, where you actually put them back through that event as far as they can go to try to get over that event and types of things. But then there's elements that you can't do that to, because you don't want to take an infantryman and take him out into the field and start dropping firecrackers at him. You can't do that. Now they've been using VR machines. They've been using YouTube videos and things like that, but you can't consistently do that to everybody. Right. And then you don't know exactly how far and how deep. And then, I was just talking, we were just talking, and then it's an even bigger scope for men at times, because men always have been brought up from the age of whatever to being an adult. You're the backbone, you're hard, you don't want to talk about this, you feel less than a man if you don't want to talk, or things like that. Sometimes you soft, but that's not the case. You're looking for therapy, you're looking for confidence, you're looking for the opportunity to be a better person overall. And sometimes, you have to let down some of those walls, personal walls, before you even get to the point of getting to therapy and having a conversation.
Right. See, and the theme being not all wounds are visible.
Right.
And they're not, and that's the thing. I think I was, talking to somebody, it was a while ago, but they were like, before COVID, they were like, if you go to the hospital, 70% of those people, he didn't do a study, but he was like 70% of those people up there because of worry and anxiety. Right. It's caused them physical problems now.
Right.
But it was worry and anxiety. And I know even when I was a kid, I know I had suffered from, some things as far as my body, definitely my hair falling out from stress basically, body betraying me over things I couldn't really control anyway, and that's the thing. I don't want any kid, adult, to actually, have to struggle with that when we have so many different things. I was just meeting before we got on. This meeting with somebody about, some mental health professionals. And it's needed. It really is. It's needed, generations who I was meeting with, and I think, just introducing ourselves. And we need to know more about where these people are and get them linked to, the professionals. Like I said, he's a doctor. I get it. I'm not saying I don't take it lightly, when I say that, because even like you said, when you said that about shell shock, I heard that before, but that's, to me, and you'll know this, and they banned it now. It's the Oklahoma drill, and I know this is off but it does come back because people
still remember.
People, that's the thing. That was man. You talk about it,
and you think about it. There are so different, some of the dynamics that you have. People who remember the drill, and then you have people who were participating in the drill but can't remember, because now they've had some concussions behind that drill.
Exactly right.
So now you're looking at two different things: the physical aspect, the emotional aspect, the mental aspect.
I can remember it, and when I do remember, I'm not. And it's that the only thing that made me feel that way was when I was on I was in Carowinds, and I was on something called a drop zone. It's the anticipation of what's about to happen,
right?
And there's no getting around it. You know what I mean? And now I'm putting
Isn't that the most things in life, and the most difficult things we face in life? The anticipation is usually the worst.
Yeah, you're right. So
I want to, and I think that's huge. Is I guess I'm looking from the scope as a parent, even adult caregiver of any kind for children. You know, there are times where we know that our children have obviously gone through trauma, you know, the death in the family, you know. But what are some steps that we know that we should automatically take? You know, my 6-year-old just lost a grandparent, you know, before, are there steps that we can take before